Just when you thought the console wars were over, here comes a new challenger to take on all comers. And that is Valve with their GameCube 2.0, as people are calling it, or the Steam Machine. Now, the word of the day as it relates to this is interesting. This is a very, very interesting console. And I think I used the word interesting while watching this initially more times than I have in quite some time. Because there are a lot of innovations that Valve has brought to the table that other console markets just haven't even considered. Other than maybe Nintendo with the Switch, but this is integrating all of the stuff from the Steam Deck into a box that, according to them, is 6 times more powerful than a Steam Deck. But the one thing that really, really amazed me, it's a very, very simple thing, and it will become clear when we start watching this. But when we get to it, I will mention it. But it just seems like this company is doing a lot of things right. And I hope that other companies that want to stay in the game will emulate some of these decisions.
In what has become typical Valve fashion, they've been atypically open about the new Steam Machine, giving us direct access to the engineering folks who worked on these devices. The only thing I didn't have today was time, so we're going to get through this as fast as we can. At the heart of the Steam Machine is a 6-core AMD Zen 4-based...
I gotta be honest, I think the design is minimalist and it's beautiful. I love this wood aesthetic. I like the way that it looks, and here's something else.
CPU that turbos up to 4.8 gigahertz.
I just wanted to get into focus. You see this thing right here? There are 2 USB ports. I assume those are USB 3. That is an SD card slot in the front of your new console. Who else has done something like that? Not PlayStation, not Xbox. You could say, well, SD slot, Nintendo did that with the with the Switch and the Switch 2. But this allows you to immediately increase the memory, the storage of your computer. You don't have to go in there and change the hard drive. You don't have to go in there and mix and match. When I had to change the hard drive to increase the memory, or I say memory, that when you increase the storage, I had to literally go in and replace the hard drive. So this is amazing. I think that is an amazing innovation. That should be the standard for all consoles going forward, that there is an SD memory card slot right there in the front, so you don't have to worry about getting to the hard drive unless you really want to. I mean, other than having like a detachable storage slot like they had for the Xbox 360. You guys remember that? Where Xbox 360 on the top, you just pressed a little thing and the whole hard drive would come off. That was pretty innovative. That was pretty interesting. But unless they want to go that route, this is, I think, a beautiful design integration.
Gigahertz with 16 gigs of RAM and an 8 gig GPU that they compared to a 7600 XT-ish. But they were also quick to point out that it might not be apples to apples thanks to their custom software stack and power tuning. Basically, the goal was that pretty much anything on Steam should run at 4K 60 FPS if you're willing to turn down the details and use a little bit of FSR upscaling. And we saw that on display with Cyberpunk running in the demo room at these settings. Valve says to expect about 6 times the performance of the Steam Deck. Now, I was a little surprised to not see an SoC with shared memory, but apparently the decision to go for discrete CPU and GPU came down to balancing cost, power, size, and performance, and also they just didn't feel like they needed to. And I guess Valve was right, because they nailed this thing. Compared to a more traditional ITX small form factor machine like the OG Steam Machine reference design, you can see that it's a lot smaller. More on par with a highly integrated design like something like the Framework desktop. Investment disclosure. Like the Framework desktop, Valve allows customization of the front panel using these magnetic plates, and they're going to provide the CAD files so you can put whatever your heart desires on here. They even had a machine.
You can 3D print your own faceplate. That is amazing. That is genuinely amazing. You think about the way that a lot of other consoles have treated customization, where it costs an arm and a leg, and in some cases they don't even offer that many options. Like with PlayStation, it took them a while to even allow for another company to come out with black faceplates. So this is something you're going to be able to 3D print. You're going to be able to 3D print your own faceplate for this new GameCube 2.0. That is very, very interesting. I told you, the word of the day is interesting.
The CAD files so you can put whatever your heart desires on here. They even had a machine in the demo room with an e-ink display that was showing system vitals. Pretty darn cool. But unlike the Framework, it has a programmable RGB strip in the front that could be used to...
I gotta say, I like the wood one. I think the wood one is the best. Yeah, there's something about it. There's something about the aesthetic I like. It's very nice.
Personalize your style, or maybe show a progress bar while you switch your TV input and wait for your game to be downloaded. The sky's kind of the limit. The front of the device has a power button, micro SD slot, 2 USB 3 5 gigabit per second ports. Then the rest of the I/O is in the back, where you'll find 2 USB 2 Type A ports, a USB-C 10 gigabit per second port, no display port on there, that is worth noting, gigabit Ethernet, power in for the integrated power supply. Good gravy, this thing is compact, as well as an HDMI 2.0 and display.
What's the wattage for the power supply, I wonder? They didn't mention it already, did they? No, they didn't. But yeah, I'd be interested to know what the wattage is.
Port 1.4 port. It is worth noting that HDMI 2.0 port, they have tested it at HDMI 2.1 speeds, but there are a couple of features that are not implemented, so they can't call it HDMI 2.1. Also at the back, we have a large 120mm cooling fan that draws air from both the intake on the bottom that comes up through the power supply, as well as the large heatsink on the front. We're going to crack this thing fully open in a sec, but first I want to talk about the Steam controller. No, not that Steam controller, the new one, with the exact same name. Before you ask, yes, I made my case to Valve that this is unnecessarily confusing. No, they're not going to change it. The good news is Valve learned a lot from the first Steam controller, and this appears to be their most complete offering ever. To be fair, the original was really cool. I mean, it made non-controller games finally playable from the couch, thanks to their innovative haptic touchpad. They also unlocked novel input schemes with gesture control, or like swiping with momentum. But they also turned off a lot of folks due to their deficiency of traditional joysticks. Well, that's solved now. The Steam controller is everything that is great about the controller on the Steam Deck, but usable when your Steam Deck is in docked mode, or with your Steam machine, or with any other PC, investment disclosure. On the surface, it offers up a conventional ABXY button layout with a PlayStation-style symmetric joystick design that will work seamlessly out of the box with basically any game. The trackpads have been repositioned to better accommodate the arm's natural position while holding a smaller device compared to the wider Steam Deck, and all of the usual Valve buttons are included. A Steam button for opening the menu, their quick access button for bringing up the SteamOS overlay, 4 rear programmable buttons, the face buttons are satisfying with a nice amount of resistance, and the D-pad has been tuned from the Steam Deck for better feel. It feels okay to me, but I only got a couple minutes with it before Valve blew my mind. The joysticks are next-generation TMR, or tunneling magneto-resistant joysticks, boasting superior accuracy and durability even compared to Hall effect joysticks. And the controller has been designed from the ground up for a superior gyroscopic aiming or mousing experience.
Oh, not gyro controls. Oh man, I'm remembering Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Oh, brother. Yeah, I mean, the controller itself looks, it looks not bad. I mean, it is a bit clunky with the two big, gigantic trackpads on there. But, I mean, yeah, it looks fine. I mean, it looks, yeah, it looks fine. I think aesthetically, it's far more pleasing than the original Steam controller.
Superior accuracy and durability, even compared to In addition to the haptic, texture-like feedback that you know and love from Valve's previous touchpads, the Steam controller has been upgraded with large rumble motors for better immersion and a large battery that they claim should be good for 35 hours in the most demanding applications.
35 hours? That's actually really good.
And even better if you don't need quite as much rumble. But I haven't even talked about the best part. If you've ever gamed over Bluetooth, you know that it can be inconsistent at best. Valve's solution? The puck. Every Steam controller comes with a wireless dongle that clips magnetically to the Steam controller using a couple of nice, strong alignment magnets. And it uses a proprietary 2.4 gigahertz wireless interface that Valve claims is good for about 8 milliseconds end-to-end latency and offers up superior resiliency when you're using multiple controllers. It allows 4 controllers per puck, so that's not as good as the Xbox dongle, which can do 8, but Valve has tested up to 4 pucks on a single system for a maximum of 16 players, meaning that you're probably going to run out of seats on your couch before you run out of controller compatibility. The last chef kiss on top is an IR emitter that's cozied up beside the power LED to help you find your controller when you're in VR. I love it. Now let's get back to the Steam machine who got naked while we were busy. Oh, you. What?
Look at that. I mean, that is about as compact as you can
Valve's
get.
goal
I mean,
was
look at that.
to build something that is zero hassle. Grab and game for the non-tinkerers. They really were laser focused on a console-like experience with quick suspend and resume and modern standby so that your games are already updated when you sit down to play. They also fully acknowledge that there are folks out there, guilty, who are tinkerers, and they've come up with an ingenious design for this thing that allows it to cater to both audiences. In advance, no, you're not going to be swapping out the BGA soldered processors. But what you can do is upgrade the storage with next to no hassle to a 2230 or larger 2280 sized M.2 drive. And while we couldn't go that deep today, Valve also confirmed that the memory uses standard SODIMM slots. Finally, while Valve hasn't actually told iFixit that this product is coming yet, they did say that they're hoping to continue their partnership that they've had on the Steam Deck, making replacement parts available for end users.
Amazing. Like, understand it. You can upgrade this thing. It's not an absolute beast or chore to do. And they're going to be offering you replacement parts so you don't have to buy them for a fortune off of the internet black market, or even worse, from Sony or Xbox themselves. Wow.
Awesome. Since we're in here, by the way, there are some really cool details that I'd love to highlight. The power supply, for one thing, is fully integrated to the point where it's actually part of the chassis.
What's the size of the power supply?
And the cooling solution pulls air directly through it, which avoids any need for it to have its own fan. The aforementioned Delta cooling fan is actually slightly thicker than the standard 25mm for extra static pressure, and it includes antenna mounts that are integrated into it, along with I/O mounts. Cool, right? Oh, this is actually a great look at the 4 antennas. So this is the back of the device, where you have your 2 antennas for Wi-Fi 6E. Then if we flip it around to the front, we've got 1 antenna for Bluetooth peripherals and another one that is dedicated to your Steam controller or controllers. So that puck that's included with your controller is actually extra, and you could chuck it on another PC or next to your couch for charging. A major question mark, though, is of course price. Valve wasn't able to give any specific numbers due to
I have a feeling.
rapidly evolving market conditions.
No. Oh, gosh. Yeah, blame Trump, blame tariffs. Shut the fuck up. No, tariffs do not have that big of an impact on price. I mean, unless you're making it strictly in China. But, I mean, Trump is already... There are already exemptions. Oh boy. No, it has nothing to do with tariffs. It has no. That's such a cop out. That's so weak. I don't think that Valve said that. I think that Linus here is injecting a little bit of his own gobbledygook. But yeah, it is interesting to say the least that they haven't mentioned the price. It has nothing to do with the tariffs. That is something that corporations are using as a scapegoat because the price is going to be high.
But they will obviously have it nailed down when the Steam Machine launches in Q1 2026.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would expect them to have the price nailed down when the console launches. I mean, guys, write us a blank check and we promise we will fill in the proper amount. Yeah, here's the thing. The Trump tariff excuse is bullshit. Everyone knows it's bullshit. These companies are going to be charging an arm and a leg. They've wanted to increase prices for years. They're just using this as a scapegoat. You know it. I know it. However, the price of this console, I'm going to predict, I think that it's going to be as close to $1,000 without going over. I think it may be $999. I could be wrong. It could be $1,200. But I think that it's going to be more costly than we think. If I'm wrong, I would love to be wrong. I would love for this thing to be $399. It's not going to be $399. It is not going to be a significant decrease in what it takes you to make your own PC. I think it's going to be as close to $1,000 as possible. That's my prediction.
Alongside the new Steam controller. They did give me one hint, though. They said that while they expect it to be very competitively priced with a PC, that it will be priced like a PC.
Yeah. It's gonna be over $1,000. It's gonna be $1,000 or more.
Rather than like a console with games subsidizing the upfront hardware purchase. That it will be priced like a PC, rather than like a console with games subsidizing the upfront hardware purchase. They wouldn't say why, but if I had to guess, I'd say it's partially to avoid stepping on the margin opportunities of their potential partners for Steam games and Steam software, but also because they recognize that the Steam Machine is a full-fledged PC, capable of being used as a full-fledged...
It doesn't matter. This is a cool concept. It's a cool design. I think that it has a lot of potential, but that is the ultimate Achilles heel of this thing. I'm not paying $1,200 for this thing. Most people are not going to pay $1,200 for this thing because this is, honestly, at that point, it's a novelty. Because you can, for the same price, you can get as good of a PC, if not better, that's fully customizable. No. This thing needs to be competitive. It's not competitive. Based on what he said there, that is Valve giving you the warning that you don't have a heart attack when you see the price. This is not going to be a $399, $499, $599 console. This is going to be competitively priced with other PCs. This is probably going to be, if I had to guess, anywhere between $1,000 and $1,200. And that's minimum, by the way. It could be more. But that is a mistake. That is a huge mistake. Because if you want to get into the console market, you have to go to where the console users are. This is not going to be something that appeals to people that are, PC Andies. This is not going to be something that appeals to people who are like, well, I can just build my own PC. I have the latest, I have a 5090. No, this is going to appeal to console users. And console users, what is the price of a Switch 2? Well, a Switch 2 is, what, like $399, $450, about. You've got the, he put the prices. He put the prices for the console. Xbox Series X, 1 terabyte, is $650. I think that is actually going to be going up. But PlayStation 5 Pro is $750. So that, I think, that's expensive, by the way. People aren't rushing out to buy the PS5 Pro. So they're not buying the most expensive version of these consoles because these prices are egregious in the console market. Like, these prices are insane in the console market. Nintendo is sitting at about $400. That, I think, is what people in the console market are willing to easily, safely spend. $400 to $500. But I think that this console is going to be double that. And it's going to take it from a really neat, innovative game console to a novelty. And I think that's why they haven't revealed the price. And I think they're going to try to blame it on Trump. They're going to try to blame it on tariffs and all this other stuff. But at the end of the day, you have to understand your market. That's one of the most important things, is understanding your market. And if you are marketing this to PC gamers, you're going to lose because they already have a PC. This should be something that is made to appeal to console gamers. And they're not going to pay significant. They're like, why would I pay all this? Why would I pay for a new PC that just plays my games? Yeah, I can use it as a PC, but I got a PC for my PC. Why would I want something that integrates both? I've got my PlayStation 5. This is where I think they shit the bed. I think it's a neat concept. I think that it has a lot of potential. I hope that other companies integrate the SD slot, but the price is going to be the biggest problem. It's going to be a barrier to entry, and I hope that they understand that. I'm not saying that because I want them to do badly. I'm saying that because this is a genuine critique. They are going to price themselves out of the market, I believe. You are going to have people that initially invest because it's a new thing and they want to, experience it, but ultimately, yeah, I don't think it's going to be competitively priced. Now, if the console comes out and it's $750, that's still expensive. That's the thing. Even on the miracle low end, it's still expensive. When the PS5 Pro came out at $750, people were, their eyes were watering. They're like, have you lost your mind? Even $650 is too much. And that's the problem. That is the number one problem with this. And I said it the moment I saw this. Very cool, very innovative, aesthetically pleasing. The price is going to kill this thing. You have to put this at the $500 mark, and they just won't. They won't. They will not put this at the $500 mark. But that's where it needs to be. If you want people to go out and mass buy this thing, if you want to sell as many of these as possible, it has to be cheaper by a significant margin than both Xbox and PS5. And that is getting competitive in the market. Now, that is a tried and true business method. In fact, do you know who talked about that? Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos talked about early Amazon and what he would do, and this is pretty sinister, but in business this is what you have to do. He would find out what people in the local market were selling for, and he would intentionally go lower, even if he had to sell the item at a loss. That's right, at a loss. The guy racked up a tremendous amount of debt, but he would sell it at a loss. What would that do? It would eventually put the other people out of business, and then he would sell their stock for pennies on the dollar, and when he was the only geek in town, he would raise the price. You are entering into the console market. There is a pre-established thing about what a console should cost. If yours cost double that. By the way, I've been charitable at $1,000. I honestly think it's going to be like $1,499. I've revised that based on when he said this is going to be competitive with console prices. Not console prices, PC prices. What is the cost of like a gaming PC? It's like $2,000. It's like expensive. So it actually could be even higher. But I do think that is going to be the barrier to entry, and that is ultimately what's going to hinder this console. Very innovative, very interesting. Ultimately, it's going to be a gimmick product because for something like this, you have to price it in terms of console.
With games subsidizing the upfront hardware purchase. They wouldn't say why, but if I had to guess, I'd say it's partially to avoid stepping on the margin opportunities of their potential partners for Steam games and Steam software, but also because they recognize that the Steam machine is a full-fledged PC, capable of being used as a full-fledged PC. There's no guarantee then that, say, a corporate purchase of 10,000 of these things would result in a single game sale. So they really do need to protect the sustainability of their hardware business. Another major question mark is, where the heck is standalone SteamOS for custom PC builders? Well, we aren't going to get a formal SteamOS.
Yeah, we're not going to get into that. If you want to go watch the rest of the video, you can go watch it on Linus Tech Tips. But yeah, very interesting concept, very interesting design. I'll be interested to see what the ultimate price is. But the fact that they gave him that soundbite tells me that the price of this thing is going to be astronomical. So, we'll see. I hope I'm pleasantly surprised. Boy, wouldn't it be nice if it came out and it was like $499? But I don't think it's going to be $499. I think it's going to be outrageously expensive. And I think that's ultimately what's going to kill any momentum or interest in this thing. Anyway, brothers, I want to thank you for watching. I want to thank you for supporting the channel. And I'll see you next time.